The challenge is going to be to make the Union Pacific TR5B, and we've got the Athearn Blue Box as an SW1200 calf unit. Okay, if you remember when we did the TR5 using the regular SW1200, do the same thing. We put Rev 1 motor in it, and we're going to freehand it. The challenge is, can I freehand a UP paint job on this thing? So I wanted to use, instead of going with a straight base yellow, I'm going to do contrast yellow, a Yandon yellow. And as you can see, I've already got a coat on here, and it's going to be pretty good. Now these TR5s, the pictures I have, some are really dirty, some are really clean, and I don't want it to be super dirty, but it does have to look like it's in service. We got to do the same thing again with the beer keg, spark arresters, top mounted air tanks, and the big side fuel tank. But first, we're going to get the trucks together. And the first thing we're going to do with the trucks is we're going to check to see, are the trucks, are the steel, these steel parts, are they loose or not? If they are loose, that one's a little bit, if they are loose, we're going to go to the drill press and we're going to take a nail and we're just going to peen them a little bit. And that one's, it's not bad. That one is a little loose, so that one we're going to peen a little bit. This one is pretty good. Yep, that's pretty good. Yeah, a little loose. Just a little bit. And we're going to clean them, make sure they got good contact, and then we're going to paint them so that you can't see, when you're looking at the side, you won't see any of the spring steel. So that's what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten those up. Okay, so they're not nearly as loose as I thought, and a little cleanup shows that they're good to go. But what we want to do now is, because I saw some rust spots, is we're going to take some ox guard. We're going to take a little paintbrush here, and where I see the rust stuff, I'm going to get some ox guard in there. I want to get it on the inside. Just like that. We're going to do all these, and then I'm going to show you the next important step here. Now, probably we're going to end up cutting these arms off because we're putting a decoder in this. It's going to be a DZ123, which is a Z-scale one, which is really nice. And they fit. Mr. Helper's got one in him. And so it'll give us one light function, which is all we need, and that'll be the headlight. And we'll put a nice LED in there. And it'll be a yellow one. I don't have any soft white LEDs right now, but personally, I like the yellow. I think the yellow gives a nicer look to it. Okay, check for rust spots. If there are any on the inside, they're going to get some ox guard. Now, I'm going to take a little square file. What I want to do is I just want to, I'm not trying to make them bigger or reshape them, but what I want is totally clean metal here. I want that guy completely clean. I really don't need to do a bunch of filing, but I want excellent power pickup since it's going to be DCC. And we're going to solder to this. I'm going to show you how. I'll show you how we can solder to this steel. And we'll get our wires on first and then we will paint whatever's left over. Okay. There, now we're going to take the aux card again. I'm going to go around these parts right here. What I've just cleaned, the aux guard is going to fill in the scratches, and then it's going to keep it so that it is it won't rust there. And aux guard is conductive, so we'll get nice contact. We get real nice contact here. There we go. Okay, trucks are prepared. Trucks are prepared, and I'm going to set up for soldering now. Okay, now looking at this for soldering. Number one, remember our rule. Red is always right. Put the locomotive, in this case, face to the right. This light bracket indicates the front, and we're going to take that out. And take pliers. Take our needles and nose here. We're going to twist that guy out of here because we're not going to be using him for anything. I'm just going to get him out of there. Alright, come on now. This guy's kind of stubborn. He's on there pretty good. Okay. Now, so indicating the front, just in case, let's take our scriber and put an F right here. Just so we remember. Eventually we're going to paint it, and then we'll make another mark. Okay. You see this frame? Look at all this flash in here. There's flash everywhere. And what I want you to do is I want you to go through and I want you to file all of that flash out. Make everything nice and smooth. You can see right there, there's flash. Go through and smooth the whole thing. Now, being that red is right, in an Athearn Blue Box, if you have it set correctly, these arms that come up will be closest to you. They are on the right. These are red wires. Right, so when there's a blue box motor in here, the top wire is your red rail, the right rail. And then you fit down in this socket here. And we're going to, so it's going to take me a little bit here. I'm going to clean out this flash. And then what I want is, I want you to file this back right in here. And right in here. You file that back. Because we're going to bring a wire up. I think we'll bring it up from right here on both sides. And when this truck is fully turned, I don't want that wire to get pinched. I don't want the wire to get pinched at all. Now, we could come from here and there. The thing I don't like about that is if the wires come loose or whatever, they will wrap around the drive shaft. And that we don't want. Alright, so I'm going to go clean this up, and then we're going to check again to see if we got room for our wires. Now, I filed in some notches. See that? It took some filing. And I used mostly the square. This is super aggressive. A little bit of the round. And then when I was done, I took the wire wheel on here, and I made sure it's nice and smooth everywhere. I don't want to try to cut my wires. Now, these notches, they're slightly, the shell is going to come down here. But, most importantly, let's take a look top down. The important thing that we got, you see this when the trucks are turned all the way? We can clearly see where we're going to solder. Now, we're going to solder beforehand. But, I want the wire, which we're going to use flexible silicone, I want that wire to come up through there without having to really come in contact much with the frame. I want it to be nice and free floating in there so we don't get any twists. And the silicone wire is nice and resistant to sharp edges. Now I've tried to get rid of the sharp edges so it's nice and smooth, but the silicone wire will resist any cutting like that. Okay, so now we're going to do some soldering. Okay, we're ready to solder. Now, for this operation, we're going to need our square file again. We're going to be using acid paste. We're also going to be using rosin paste, tip tinner, and a little screwdriver here. Okay, so here's how we do this. We're going to be soldering to steel, and steel can be very frustrating. So I've got, in my Mr. Helping Hands here, I've got one of the sides. Alright, so now this guy, okay, there's his worm tower. Let's make sure we're doing it the right way. He goes in like this and gets a black wire. Okay, so let's put him in Mr. Helping Hands here. Alright, now, that wire is going to go that way, away from the worm gear. So first we take this guy and we're going to file the top of this part right here and give it a good scratch on it. Make sure it's like shining silver and nice and scratched up good right on the top. Okay, now we're going to take some acid paste. Alright, we're going to put a little bit of acid paste on there. Just like that. Okay, then we're going to take our soldering iron, clean him off. If he's not already tinned, we're going to dip him in the tip tinner for a sec. Now he's tinned. Okay, we're going to get some solder. Alright, let me get in here. Okay, what I want to do is I want to tin this spot first with the acid paste. And I just want it on the top here until I can see a nice bead of solder. There. Very important. Okay, now that I've got him tinned, I'm going to take, this is black wire, this is the silicone wire, and I've already pulled it. This is about how much I want on it, and I give it a twist first, then I poke it in here. We're going to do one. I poke it in here, I tin it, and now it's ready. Now I'm going to put it in the rosin again, and I'm going to get a little bead of rosin on the end of this wire. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the soldering iron. Okay. Now, this is the tricky part, because I'm soldering from the right hand. Okay, so I need to hold him here, and I want to get him soldered all the way to here, right there. And I want him to lay down flat on top of this thing. This is going to be the tricky part. Almost. Let's get a little bit more solder. Okay. Okay, come on. Stay down there. And some of you can say, oh, my hands are too shaky to do that. Look, I'm resting my entire arm on a workbench right now. Okay, one of the things that you want to look out for is don't get this side frame so heated up that it starts melting parts. But he's on there now. Okay. That's one. We'll come back to him in a second. Okay, now let's do one. This is the really tricky one, because it's going to be backhand. So I'll show you what we're going to do. Alright, first I'm going to take my file, and I'm going to, this is the red wire, I'm going to file this. Once I see that I've got it filed nice, now I got to get in Mr. Helping Hands here. Okay, and if we go this way, so I can hold him down here. Now what do? I do not want to melt this, so I got to turn him like that. And now I can take my acid paste, put some on here. Don't worry about the acid. We'll address the acid in just a minute. Let's get some solder. And let's give them a tinning. Just like that. Okay, now I'm going to show you the silicone. Why use silicone wire? One, we do not want to be melting back to insulation trying to install a wire here. We want some of our wire inside that insulation. And so with this stuff, I just grab the end of it between my fingers, I just pinch it and I pull it. Okay? Nice. Now, I'm going to give them a twist because I don't want them to flay out. And I want some twist back in here so that when it bends, and we don't want this too long or you're going to be making a lever and it's going to break off the wire. So then we're going to put them in the rosin and we're going to tin them. Just like that. Then we're going to put them in the rosin again. Okay, now we've got them again. And now I can lay my arm down here. And remember, I want to go all the way over here. So let's zoom in again. So I want him soldered way over here. Okay. And I want to get that much that I left on there. I want it nice and snug. There it is. Okay, now we're going to address the acid. Even though we probably burned it all off, just in case so it doesn't start to rust stuff, and even though we're going to paint it so that that'll keep the rust out, we're going to take, I've got regular old hardware store acid in a tiny glass beaker. And I keep it like this so it doesn't spill. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit. Remember I put Oxguard down there? Well, I don't want to get rid of that. So I'm painting them upside down. A little bit on the inside. Okay, just like that. You don't need much. That neutralizes the acid. I do not want to Oxguard this solder joint either, because Oxguard eventually will spread to here and try to remove the solder as if it was some kind of oxidation. So we want to keep that nice and we'll paint it is what we'll do. All right, now if we did this right, we put it together, we should have these two wires facing this way and they go in here. Also remember to polish these little sockets right here with your wire wheel. There's a little bit of flash in there and you polish them up. We stick our wires through here. And there we have it. And when we look down now, let's look down on it. These wires are going to come up like this. So as you move back and forth, they're not going to get, they're not going to run right up against this edge, which was much thicker, and start to, over time, you know, bending metal back and forth will eventually break it. This way, they're going to be nice and flexible in there. And there you have it. This guy is ready, and we are ready to put the gears and do the trucks. And that'll be coming pretty quick.